Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really critical topic for anyone helping people navigate medical treatment abroad,
That's right.
the money side of things.
Yeah.
How exactly do you talk about costs clearly, effectively?
Yeah, and we're focusing specifically on, navigating costs in medical tourism. We're pulling insights from a really practical source.
Oh, yeah.
It's a video aimed at medical trip facilitators from the Medical Tourism Business YouTube channel featuring Gilliam Elliott.
Right, right. So our mission here is to unpack the core advice from that video, specifically on discussing cost with clients who are paying out of pocket themselves.
And, this isn't just some small detail. For these clients, cost is often the major concern. We're talking people who might be uninsured, underinsured, maybe seeking elective stuff insurance won't cover.
So getting this conversation right is fundamental.
Absolutely. It's about building trust, ensuring a smoother experience. It's huge.
Okay, so let's unpack the source's first big piece of advice. Honesty, right? Especially when cost is the main driver.
Exactly. The video strongly warns facilitators, don't promise ridiculously low prices. It backfires.
Right.
And what's interesting is how transparency isn't just like the ethical thing to do. It's strategic.
How so?
Well, the source points out that clearly communicating potential costs up front, it doesn't just prevent complaints later. It fundamentally builds the client's trust in your service.
Okay.
And it lets them make a real informed decision. If there are variables, maybe based on the client's specific health, needing extra monitoring or a certain test,
Yeah.
you absolutely have to flag that possibility early. Surprising them later, that's like reputation suicide.
That makes total sense. Okay, so moving beyond just the initial quote, the source really drills down into the details, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what does the price tag actually cover?
Yes, it's not enough to just give a number.
You have to spell out the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. The video stresses you need an itemized list or at least a very clear breakdown. Is transport included? Accommodation? What about, say, post-op physical therapy?
Or those separate.
Precisely. That needs to be crystal clear beforehand. Manage those expectations.
Okay.
And on the flip side, the source also says, hey, highlight the complementary things the hospital might offer.
Oh, like perks?
Sort of. Things like maybe the initial consultation is rolled in or airport transfers, maybe interpreter services on site. Highlighting these adds value beyond just the medical procedure cost itself.
Right. It boosts the perceived value.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it gets maybe a bit uncomfortable, but the source insists it's vital. Talking about potential extra costs.
Yes, this is a key takeaway. Unexpected situations.
Like complications.
Exactly. The video explicitly mentions things like complications during the procedure that might mean a longer hospital stay,
Right.
or needing specialized medical gear that isn't typical for that procedure, but maybe it's needed because of some unforeseen issue or, the patient's specific condition.
So how does the source say facilitators should handle that? Do they just, scare the client, hey, things might go wrong?
No, not at all. It's more nuanced. The advice is about discussing the likelihood, for their specific procedure based on stats or the provider's experience.
Without being alarmist.
Right. It's about preparing the client for possibilities, explaining how those costs would be handled if they happened.
And maybe discussing preventative options.
Yeah, potentially discussing if there are options or steps to minimize certain risks. If the provider offers that and the source mentions it, it's sort of like contingency planning, but together with the client.
Addressing those possibilities up front, even if they're unlikely. Wow, that seems like it would massively boost client confidence.
Definitely.
Because they feel prepared for potential curveballs, not just the sunshine scenario.
It loops right back to that core principle the source keeps hitting on.
Helping clients understand everything they're paying for.
Exactly. That fosters trust, fosters confidence. Ultimately, the more upfront and detailed you are about all the costs, initial quote, inclusions, exclusions, potential extras, the smoother the whole journey is.
For the client. And honestly, for the facilitator, too. Better reputation, smoother operations.
Transparency. It really is the bedrock.
Okay, so let's recap this deep dive into the source video.
Wow.
The absolute core principle for medical tourism facilitators, especially with self-paid clients, is just radical transparency about costs. It means not just giving a price, but really detailing what's in, what's out.
Highlighting those complementary benefits.
And crucially, having those proactive, open talks about potential extra costs from complications or unforeseen needs before anyone commits.
Yeah, and the goal behind all that, this level of clarity really builds significant client confidence. They get where their money's going and they feel prepared.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider, drawing right from this material. Given you have to discuss potential extra costs from complications, how does a facilitator balance that need for transparency, for preparing the client,
Right.
against potentially causing them, undue anxiety about worst-case scenarios? What's the right tone there? What's the right level of detail? Something to think